was truly the weakest member of the Forbidden Five? This week I'm going to tackle the question of that because we were told the weakest member was Drix. Now, the show doesn't really show that. To be honest, the Forbidden Five are a huge issue in Ninjago so far as a villain organization. They are supposed to be strong villains, probably on the level of Garland / the Overlord, because these guys were conquerors. They killed tribes. Now, yes, Shadowspin is strong, but the elemental powers are strong too, with Misfortune being a power, with also Fear and Brutal Force being elements, and Decease. And then you got Wasp, the power of bugs, pretty much. That's not a power, but how Ninjago Rising proves what powers are strong and weak. And from what you're probably seeing on the screen at the moment, you probably know what character we're talking about today and what element. We're talking about Zarket. He has the power of Misfortune, and that was done so dirty in the show. Let me explain. Now, I theorized back in January that, Misfortune is going to be a strong power. Realistically, think about it. If your character is hit by the Misfortune element, they will be misfortunate for at least the rest of their life. And I'm not saying this elemental power is useless in general. Heavens knows how many times Zarket has used it against someone. Heavens knows how much he's used it on himself, let alone defeating Egalt or Runtu, or other tribes like Lord Raz's. There's not much information to say that he's done that in the past, but it's most likely something that we've got to consider. But when he's taking down the ninja, he doesn't even use his element. Besides the one time he uses it against Floyd and then sees it's not worth it because he has Power Blast. Why should I use it? Oh, well, Sora and Thrak, they don't have elements like Lloyd. Why shouldn't I use it on them? I wish that was sort of the consequence that they could have went down that route, but they didn't. Now, in fairness, I wouldn't have wanted any of our ninja to be obviously hit by the power of Misfortune. I had a couple characters in mind. You could have probably got Zane hit to make him big form, but Zark was in that point. Or Jay could have been hit. Misfortune has been leading him throughout the merged lands so far. Why not get him hit by the power of Misfortune too? So it begs a question here. What is truly with this element? Why was it considered one of the top elements? Well, I think it was everyone's interpretation of how strong it could be. How it could be used for not just the great purposes of evil, but the greatest purpose of telling a story. I think, though, they do have a good story without Ninja, but if they wanted to really make these villains fearful and scary, just like Kerr, I think just with a couple of seconds on screen that she deceases Roby, it just puts a different stake onto the villain, our heroes. I do want to talk about Kerr in a separate video. I think that element of Decease was used to its potential slightly. I think it had more potential to go further. But still, I think Misfortune had that same potential both ways. It just never got explored properly. It never was shown off to be like a great power. Even that first fight where they deceased those couple in the van, there was no Misfortune there. They were just unlucky to run into the five. Now, it wasn't even explained if you run into this dude, are you unlucky or not? Heavens knows the Forbidden Five are unlucky to have this idiot on their team. He was just used as comic relief, just like how Jay was pretty much in the Wild Brain series. And I didn't like that. I think that this needed to have expansion. Also, his fighting techniques are shockingly shit. That's the best way I could actually describe it. Because, think about this. Pixel just got online right now. And you get taken down by her. Yikes. You must be the strongest Forbidden Five member, right? But in personal, this is a video trying to explain that I felt that there was more potential in Zark than the rest of the five, just because how interesting and amazing a storyline could have been with explaining and using Misfortune. I think, for example, if we take Nox's power of brute force was an interesting thing. If you know now, you can see that in part 2. Brute force is shatter spin, but it's only used out of shatter spin because brute force is stronger when you're using some sort of martial art, like shatter spin. If he could use spinjitzu, he'd probably use brute force in that. Who's to say? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below about this. Who do you think was the strongest Spin 5 member? The next video I'm probably going to do is about Drix or Kerr. It probably won't be as big as this video. But if I do one about Kerr. But I'd also like to do one about Noct. And actually all 5 of the members. In the comments down below, let me know your thoughts. Thank you guys for watching. Peace out, guys.